Hey guys, welcome to the Toy Box. This video's a little late and I'm sorry about that, but we got some new Joy Toy reveals, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. We've got 3 figures to look at today. So for you Space Wolves fans, you Iron Hands fans, and obviously the Ultramarines, the fanboys, 3 new figures, 3 new options to add to your collection. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So our first figure from the Space Wolves is going to be Arjac Rockfist in this giant Terminator armor. But let's just go ahead and look at front and back detail display shot. Just, showing the details. It's Terminator armor. We're kind of used to this look already from the past Terminators, from the Blood Angels and the Ultramarines. Finally got a Space Wolf. He's looking great. Lots of cables, lots of detail. I mean, gosh, there's so much sculpting that it's almost too much. There's too much going on. He's got the anvil above his head. We got a shield. We got a hammer. But there's going to be a lot of things. Possibly issues, not sure, knock on wood. We'll cover all this hopefully. So here's a close-up of the front shot. You see him holding his hammer. He's got his shield. Badass face sculpt. One thing to note, there's no helmet. There's also no word if there is going to be a helmet. Just go ahead and prepare yourself. You're not getting a helmet with this one. Really, your best option is maybe to find somebody who parted out a Terminator previously and just go ahead and add some paint deco to it, or not. You get a really cool white Terminator helmet on there. It would look great. Here's our next picture. Here's the back shot close up, and now we're going to start talking about issues. The first thing I want to note, on his right arm, you're going to see that red and black cable spinning down the back of his arm into the shield. So that, more than likely, is going to unplug, similar to the Necrons, where they have a little cable through their spine that you can pull out, and it kind of adds more articulation to the head. Same deal here, that's going to pop out from the shield. And the design thought process there really is people are going to be taking the shield in and out of the hands. They know that you run the risk of snapping these cables, so both of those will pop out. The other one you can see that runs down the back of his elbow through his wrist, that large silver cable, that's going to be on a little ball peg that can pop out as well. You're not going to have to worry about breaking those. But if you look at his left arm, those cables, which you can already see on the prototype, are a little cracked, which, that happens. But those cables are going to be very fragile. And again, if you pop those out, your best friend's going to be super glue. You'll be fixing that up. Those are really going to be your biggest issues. Outside of that, I don't really see too much else, at least from this image, on anything you really need to worry about. All right, so this next picture here, you've got him in this really cool pose, hammer forward, shield going to the back with him twisted at the waist. I will say, now that I'm looking at this, another thing to point out that could be potential damage is going to be that necklace around his neck. I'm not sure if that is a separate floating piece. If it is, then it's not going to be an issue other than maybe you losing it. But if it is affixed to that torso, maybe behind his head, obviously moving his head around, you're going to run the risk of popping that, so be careful there. Let's see if we can find any other potential issues. There's been a lot of people that have bought these figures and then come back and say, hey man, I bought a Chaos Terminator and some parts fell off. You never warned me about this. Some of these figures are fragile. I'm not going to ever bullshit anybody about that. Some of them are fragile. Now, their quality control has gotten way better compared to some of their earliest figures. So if you were in this line and you got out because of QC issues, most of those QC issues are non-existent now. Now, you're still going to have shoulder pauldrons that pop off, but they're on ball pegs, so those go right back on. Elbow pads may slide out, those slide back in, so those aren't really big issues. But the point is, the QC issues are nowhere near as bad as they used to be, so you don't really have much to worry about, honestly, and they're only getting better. But let's go ahead and dive into the actual figure mechanics here. For anyone that is unaware, the loincloth at his waist, that's going to be a very nice pliable material, so that will move around. It's not cloth, so there's no wire in there, so it's only pliable enough to move out of the way. If you want to have him in a seated position or kicking a leg out, it will move with the leg. It will hold for the most part with that leg. Obviously, you're not going to get a kick way up into the air because that material is going to cause that leg to kick back down. But it is pliable enough that you can get a decent amount of dynamic poses in there. So here's his loadout again. You see the cables clearly detached from the shield, which is great. This is a prototype, so I'm not sure if we're going to get ball pegs on the end of these or not, but regardless, they will some way, somehow plug into that shield, which is good for those that maybe get this figure and haven't seen this video or know how some of these figures work. If that shield does pop off and you ran to this video to see, oh, is this supposed to happen? You're fine, relax. Yes, it's supposed to happen. They kept this in mind for this exact reason. So no, your figure's not broken. He's got his big hammer, big shield, big figure. We got 2 pairs of hands, open palm hands for holding the hammer and holding the shield, and then closed fist hands if you want to pose him with some close quarter combat, fisticuffs going on, or if you want to have him raising his fist in anger, they've got you covered. It has everything here. This figure, of course, in the Terminator armor, he is going to stand fairly tall. From what I have heard and seen, he's a little bit taller than even the standard Terminator figures. If anyone has the Custodes, he is just at the same height of the top of the hair bun on the Custodes. So he is very big, very imposing. It's going to make a fantastic choice to anyone's collection. Let's go ahead and now look at the Iron Hands, Iron Father Feirros. I'm probably butchering that name. If it's Feirros or Feirros, I'm just going to call him Big Daddy F. This is Big Daddy F. This figure is super busy. I mean, there is so much going on with this guy. I mean, we've had the Tech Priest characters in the past. There's tons of different ways to pose this guy. He's got 3 giant mechanical arm options on him, as well as his 2 normal arms and staffs. Let's go ahead and look at his front and back detailed display shots, where again you can see shoulder cannon. We got a shoulder claw. We got another claw to his side, and that giant staff. I mean, this dude is Dr. Octopus on meth. I mean, he is wild. You can see some of these details here just all over the place. Here's a close-up of Feirros right here, where you can see a lot of these details. I always like to pick out potential issues. Obviously, your cables are always going to be a giant issue. The material that they use is a very soft rubber, which is good. You can move your figure around. You don't have to worry about much damage. But if you overextend these cables, they will pop, which again, super glue's your friend. It'll fix it quick. Be cautious of that. They can break. They also have the ability, or have the tendency to limit some posability, mainly that I guess looking at this ammo chain coming off of his gun on his shoulder, obviously you're not going to be able to move that around a whole lot. That chain itself is going to limit things, so it is again a rubber pliable material. I say it all the time. I'm sure you're sick of hearing it, but you can move that gun around on that ball joint, but that chain is going to stop you from getting full motion out of that gun. It's not going to hinder it too much. You'll enjoy it, but it will get in the way. Let's go ahead and look at the back of the figure, where again you see that chain. That gun is on a ball joint on his shoulder, so you're going to see the giant claw on his right shoulder. So if you start where the claw goes into the backpack, so that first silver circle is a point of articulation. Go up the black pole to that black ball. That's another articulation, right? Follow that black pole up again to the next black circle, and that will be another point of articulation. So this guy's going to be decked out. Now if you see that very top black ball, that's where the claw is connected to, that you can bend that down 180 degrees. So this arm in itself is going to be able to bend wherever you need it to. If you want to have him grabbing somebody in front of him or even behind him, you can do all that. And then below him, another claw, which you can see has 1, 2, 3. That one has 4 points of articulation. And they should have, there's going to be a combination of ball joint at the base and then ratchet joints throughout the rest of it. So they've got you covered if you're going to have it holding a character up. I wouldn't say a giant Ultramarine, but if you have them picking up a Krieg or something like that, it should be able to hold that no issue. So in this image here, here's a nice dynamic pose. He's got that staff up in his hand. Be careful of those sigils. Again, pliable material just like capes, but they do in the past have tendencies to pop off. I'm really trying not to be negative. I'm kind of playing back some of the things I've said in my head here, and I do seem like I'm being negative. I just want to let you guys know that if there's ever any potential issues, these are where those issues would lie. So I don't want to bullshit you. It's just, it is what it is sometimes. But yeah, so we can see that he can hold that staff 2 hands. He's got a really good stance from his legs, perfect balance from you can see here. These figures really do have good balance. Thinking back to Storm Collectibles, a lot of their figures have good balance. These figures are the same way. Almost every figure, and I'm going to say almost every because it truly is almost every figure, is able to balance, no need for a base. Obviously, there are characters that have giant guns that kind of protrude out past their body that would throw their center mass off, that aren't going to balance. So you're not going to get perfect balance out of every single one, but a majority you will. And here's his loadout. So we see we've got those 2 claw arms. They do separate, which is great. If you don't want to look at them, you don't have to. You take them right off, put them in the box. As well as that giant gun, which is affixed to his backpack. So you're not going to be able to get rid of that gun. It's there permanently, but it's badass. I mean, who doesn't want a giant gun over their shoulder? That's cool. He's going to come with 5 hands, 2 left, 3 right. We've got a fist for the right hand, pointing finger for both hands, which is great, as well as 2 full open hands to hold items. So that's his loadout. Solid figure, again, for your Iron Hands fans that don't have much to choose from. Now you got a pretty good size figure. And that brings us on to our last figure of the assortment. People have recently been asking, when are we getting a new Librarian? There's been rumbles, there was rumors where we got one. For anybody that went back and bought one secondhand for close to $100, I feel bad for you, because this one is definitely going to be the definitive version. This figure is badass. This is the Ultramarines Chief Librarian Tigurius. He is loaded out, has, in my opinion, way better options than the first release did. Let's go ahead and look at his front and back detail display, where you can see that cape sweeping out from under him. He's got that giant staff with the skull on top, and he even has a banner coming out of his backpack. Like, this is a combination of all of the sick-ass Ultramarine figures that have come out, almost collided into one. This is great. Again, you see the pliable material on that cape. It's going to hold its shape, but if you need to move it around, you can. There's enough room to get his legs in just about any position you need to. Same with the arms. I am very curious on how this figure is going to turn out compared to the first release. For those that do have the first release, know, and being totally 100% honest, that first release was dog shit. It was exciting to have something that wasn't just a standard intercessor or a standard soldier figure. It was a named character. That part was exciting. It looked different. It set itself apart from everyone else. But there were so many QC issues with that first Librarian. I pray that they take care of all of those issues and more with this new release. From shoulder pauldrons falling off, shin guards falling off, elbow pads falling off, arms falling off. I mean, the first release was trash. It is what it is. It's trash. If you're looking at yours right now, just stop looking at it. Start looking at this one. Get rid of your first version. If you can make a couple bucks off of it and buy this new one, do that. It's a good idea. This one is going to be leaps and bounds better than the first release. So here is a close-up shot of the figure where we're seeing. I mean, he's just so busy. Cables going all over the place. Man, look at that staff. Oh, this is great. This really makes it. This is why I love this line, man. Where else are you going to get something so sick looking? The staff, man, a skull sitting on top, the sigils just flying all over the place. This is a badass figure. I got nothing bad to say about him. I'm so happy. And you can sit there and complain about the dorky ass skull on his banner. That's exactly how the miniature looks. Here's a back shot of him again. See that cape sweeping out from behind him. You can see the banner going down in the backpack, which is likely going to cause a balance issue. You don't want to lean him too far back. He likely will topple. He does have longer feet, which is good. Again, center mass. You shouldn't have too much of an issue standing him up and posing him. But do be careful. That banner is going to obviously add extra weight to the back, and it could cause him to fall backwards. But that's why we got a staff, right? Here he is in an action pose, holding that hand up, telling people that he's the five-time WCW World Champion. I love it. This figure is sick. Great action pose. He's got keys to whatever dungeon you can think of. He's got a book attached to him, which will likely come out. I'm hoping that it is on a ball peg. You can see a little pistol holster. It looks like it's attached to his thigh, not his hip, so that is different. I can't think of any figures that hasn't had a holster on their hip, but more on their leg. Let's go ahead and look at his loadout, where again he's going to come with 3 full pairs of hands. So we've got 2 open hands, We've got 2 fist hands and 2 holding hands for that staff. If you want to have that staff in one hand, they got you covered. If you want to 2-hand that staff, they got that covered as well. The backpack will come off. The cape, looks like the cape is actually going to be fully affixed to this figure. The arms will likely pop off, or that cape will wrap around the openings of that arm. But looking at those yellow tubes, it looks like it is going to be permanently affixed to that figure. So if you don't like that cape, you're going to be doing damage to that figure to get it off. What the hell you want the cape off for, man? It's part of the Librarian. I mean, look at this guy. He's freaking awesome. So that is our wave of 3 figures. I know I've missed a couple. I've got to go back and touch on Ultramarines Terminators. I got to go back and touch up on Blood Angel Terminators. We had Mephiston. I mean, we had a Crimson Slaughter Sorcerer. We had Salamander's Captain Arjac. I mean, we had the 3.0 release of Intercessors for Space Wolves, Blood Angels, what was it, Ultramarines, and Imperial Fist. I'll have to do a video on those. We got white consoles, talk about a deep cut white console figures. We got a new Black Templar's Emperor Champion, Bayard's Revenge. A little upset on that figure. I kind of was hoping that was going to be a specialty figure and maybe come with an orc as a base. I mean, that kind of books itself. I don't know why they didn't go with that. But we had like a Marshal Helbrecht, a Chaos Lord. We had a new Primaris Captain. We had a new Terminator Captain. So I could go on and on and on. There's been a lot of figures that I've missed, and I'm sorry. Again, I saw a lot of comments of people saying that they missed my videos. Where am I? I keep saying I'm coming back, and then I go away, and I'm coming back. It is difficult sometimes to find time to do this. So, and I did say new Joy Toy Warhammer Wave plus more. So hopefully in the next few weeks, we should be seeing some new full reveals. Hoping that the Grey Knight's Nemesis finally gets revealed. I'm not going to say more on that, but if you happen to join the Joy Toy Warhammer Discord, you might see some really cool stuff on that very particular figure. It's not if it's coming, it is when it's coming. We've been pretty patient, I'd say, for about 6 months now. They've developed a new thing on it, maybe a few new things on it. Again, everything's rumor. Who knows? It might come, it might not, but I'm pretty sure it's coming pretty soon. But there should definitely be some more reveals coming up within the next week or two. So again, if you're not in the Discord, I don't know why you aren't, come join the Discord. Like, we're over 2,600 members. We're having fun. We're doing giveaways. There are official retailers in there, such as Locker Toys, Cool Toys Club, Show Z. So come on in, hang out. You can talk to distributors immediately if you have an issue with an order, if you have questions about anything. Everyone in the Discord has been super cool. No issues, no fighting, which is fantastic. Everybody is very knowledgeable. No one gatekeeps. So come on in, ask as many questions as you want. It doesn't matter if you've never heard of Warhammer or if you've been involved with Warhammer since you were 5. It doesn't matter. Come on in, hang out. It's a great group of people. And the last thing I do want to say is, if you're looking for figure, best place to go, Cool Toys Club. At cooltoysclub.com. It is run by Loy Chen. The 3 figures that we looked at today, Feirros is running about $70.19. Arjac is running $65.69, and the Librarian is $67.49. Yes, prices have gone up some, but the toy line has been around for almost 2 years, and we're looking at maybe a $3 price increase in 2 years, which is amazing. There's no other company that can say that they've kept prices this low and have releases this consistent. Joy Toy has taken care of us, really. I mean, it's not brown nosing and it's not bullshitting. We've had more figure releases from Joy Toy in 2023, than what Hasbro's had vintage collection figures in the last 2. We're north of 242 releases, individual figure releases, in less than 2 years. We're not getting this from any other toy company. Joy Toy is a smaller company. They've cleared millions in China, which is great. It's business-wise, it's fantastic. but they're a smaller company and they are producing more figures per volume than your large box stores like Hasbro, like Mattel. I mean, they're killing it, and we're eating good. But that's it. I wanted to get up here, make a video. Like I said, there was a lot of people in the comment section asking where I'm at, so I figured I'd go ahead and jump on here and start talking about figures. And yes, I will. I say it every time, but I really will go back, chit-chat a little bit about past release figures. I'll try and keep it more positive, man. I feel like this video was more negative. I don't know why, but I won't do that again. We'll stay in the positive light. None of this negative dark light bullshit. But that's it. Thanks for hanging out, listening to me yap. Again, Joy Toy Warhammer Discord. I'll have a link below so you can check that out. Free to join. I would never ever charge anyone a fee to hang out on a Discord server. So come on in. It's free. We're doing giveaways all the time. So check that out. And until the next video, guys, take care.